people kind of like companies, you think, where the early investors who get on the ground floor reap the most reward from a relationship? Do you think that's true?
In a person or
in a person? In a person.
No, I don't think you reap the most of the reward. I think the guy that teaches and invests in the intellectual capital probably receives the least return over time, right? Because your value will go up with the more experience you have. I mean, some people, if they get on the right platform, they should have paid to be on the platform, quite frankly, to get known. But no, I think that it's different in terms of people. Now, I think that I will make a better return than on Bitcoin. I wasn't early, but I think I'll make a bigger return on Bitcoin starting in 2020 than most of the people who've been here for 15 years. Most, the operative word is most, not all of them, not a few of them. A few of them clocked me because they were able to go in at 30. However, I am able to deploy a lot more money at $57,000 than I would have ever deployed at 300. I would have never deployed 85% of my net worth, liquid net worth, into Bitcoin at $300. It's not even close to being possible. I would have owned the market. So that it's just different, man. For instance, I think the old Bitcoiners are going to have less Bitcoin because they're going to move into real estate. Hey, look, I'd like to really help some monster players who are extremely consolidated on Bitcoin to move into real estate in a very smart way. Because I think Bitcoiners move into real estate and real estate moves into Bitcoin, big real estate. And there's a reason for that. Oh, yeah, people are already doing it. Well, you're not doing it correctly. Okay, because unlike Bitcoin, where everyone gets the same price, 57 grand, you don't know that Chicago, this primo property of 800 units in Chicago, is getting ready to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
You're not getting that phone call. My brother's getting the phone call. Okay. BlackRock's getting the phone call. So what you need to do, I'm talking about using Bitcoin to find the most premier fucking potato chips on the planet that you never eat, that these potato chips produce money. And so I could see Bitcoiners going in that don't have cash. Let's say you got 10,000 Bitcoin. You take 2,000 of them, give them to a bank, dude. You then get 2,000 times 4. So put 8,000 Bitcoin to work to go buy something at 25 cents on the dollar on a Friday night when, Monday morning they're going to open up and they're going to have to puke it out at 100 million. You freaking, hey, here's $110 million worth of Bitcoin Friday night right before the closure. Beautiful with Bitcoin. Bitcoin should never be used to buy potato chips. Ever. I will fight every purist on this till the end of time. It is a mortal sin if you're a Bitcoiner to use Bitcoin to buy potato chips, unless you get a super discount. 20%. I think 20% to cash is the right thing. So if a property is being sold for $100 million and it doesn't close, right, on a Friday night, what's it worth Saturday morning if the guy's got to sell it? Well, I can transact on Saturday, dude. I'm a Bitcoin guy. How about here's $101 million right now? Whack. Dude, you make 18% overnight. Being able to use Bitcoin is the ultimate liquidity mop. Right? It mops up every problem you can imagine on a Saturday or Sunday. So it will get there. And I think this is extremely cool because imagine being able to take $100 million worth of Bitcoin, buying $400 million worth of real estate with it. Okay. It makes 6% yield. You then take the 6% yield, which is effectively mining money. You mine that money and then you buy Bitcoin with it. The most effective Bitcoin miners on planet Earth will be using legacy assets that generate fiat crap. And that fiat crap buys Bitcoin. You convert it into Bitcoin. Best mining on the planet. It will still be the best miner on the planet in 2 or 3 years. That's the other discussion we had also. Is like, man, mining's a tough business, dude. When you can buy something for 57 grand, like, why would you worry about capital costs, location, long-term PPA contracts on both ends, supply and demand? Got to have people, environmental checks, lawyers, accountants. I can just buy Bitcoin at 57.5. Geez.
Is there another asset class or industry that you can kind of trade out real estate for as a Bitcoiner? Is it pretty much, you think that's like the perfect relationship?
I think that is a really good relationship.
Like, are there any alternatives if you don't like real estate?
I'm talking about real estate that you buy for 30 cents on the dollar now. Let's make sure you don't leave that part out, okay?
Yeah.
So, because I think Bitcoin is, if you don't have any Bitcoin, this strategy is not for you. Okay. Like, if I had no real estate right now, I'd be like, Gary, load up on Bitcoin. I need some more Bitcoin. If I could sell the real estate I have with Grant, I would buy, that's probably $10 million or so. I would buy every drop of that with Bitcoin. I think it's premier real estate. Now, the analogy I'm using, I have 10,000 Bitcoin, 1,000 Bitcoin, and I own them at $300, $400, $500, $600 to $6,000, $8,000. I don't want to sell them.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go to the bank. I've got a load of it at a really cheap basis. So I can go to the bank and go, hey, man, I want some money. I then take that cash, borrow the cash. Why would anyone sell their Bitcoin? They're going to pay taxes on it. You don't want to do that. You want to borrow the cash at 6, get a distribution at 6 or 7 or 8, hopefully 8, while you're sitting there and letting the property values inflate if you buy them correctly. But there will cash flow. I mean, look, this is about a super diversification play, in my opinion. Now, if you can buy natural gas or electricity at a 70% discount, cool, go do it. I don't think that's going to happen, though. But in the real estate market right now, with all the commercial pressure, the interest rate pressure, the housing pressure, just seems to me like a really good strategy if you use Bitcoin correctly, which is I'm the last bid when you guys fail. I'm looking for premier real estate property that is literally getting, flushed because the bank has a bunch of problems. See, people forget the bank that's holding all that debt, let's say that it's full of mortgages, apartment buildings. Like they're worried about all of them. Okay. It's a whole bucket. If they have this many of them start to default, guess who they're going to call? They're going to call these guys, man. These guys are defaulting. Okay. They're the problem. Who do they go to? Let's go get cash from all the guys that have the cash. And so the whole fund has to get resold, right? Because what are you going to sell? You're going to sell this crap here at the bottom, or are you going to sell this? You have to just get rid of, the toxic problem sitting in that bucket, which is refinance it, which means, hey, let's start selling some properties. Guess which properties sell first? The ones that don't need to be sold, man. The best ones.
I don't know when it'll be, if it'll be by the end of this year or if it'll be next year. I don't know if it depends on the election, but everywhere I look, there's got to be some sort of housing crash, it looks like. It seems like it's going to be very localized, but let's just say, for example, okay, Gary, it is Q3, Q4, and there's a huge market collapse in the housing market. Do you change some of your risk management strategy and go, oh, now's a great time to buy real estate for cheap? And you reprioritize just gathering Bitcoin? Like, would you look at that differently?
What do you call the housing market?
So I would base it off of what we're discussing you would buy into, which would be rentals. Anything like multifamily or
multifamily apartment
buildings.
Not homes.
Not homes.
So, and homes could get destroyed in price, and they could go. I think they're getting ready to go up personally. Multi-dwelling, I'm not sure there's going to be a crash in multi-dwelling. 72% of the people in the United States own a home. Okay, they shouldn't. I think it should be more like 23% own a home, and everybody else rents. Like I'm probably the only guy on this phone call between you and me that should ever own a home, and I don't think it's a good investment. Like I think it's a really, really, really bad investment. So I'm really saying that I'm the only one qualified to own a home, but I shouldn't. I should rent it if I could. If the rental market had as much variety as the sale market, I think you would see a big rental market. So like, for instance, let's say your parents are at the edge of their retirement, they're just starting retirement. and they own a home. They had a home 6,000 square feet. They're now 78 years old. Do they need a 6,000 square foot home? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
Well, but they have a 3% mortgage, 30-year 3% mortgage. Those people should never sell their house, dude. So people can really grossly misunderstand what I'm saying. Your parents shouldn't sell the house. What they should do, though, is they should rent it. Okay, they should put it in an LLC, rent it out. Or if they've got a 2% or 3% note, they probably bought it 20, 30 years ago, and they'll make money, dude. They'll make 12 grand, 8 grand a month, right?
Yeah.
And then they downscale and they go somewhere else. Maybe they go into a condo or whatever. There's tons of those kind of opportunities. So for older people, the other thing, and I thought this was a good idea that Grant came up with, was, hey, anybody over 65 years old, why don't you allow them to sell their house or rent their home free of any tax income? Why are you fucking with these people? Right? So they're already going in Social Security and all that. Why wouldn't you just free them up from the taxation?
You're talking about if I wanted to rent my home to someone who is on Social Security.
No,
can you?
No, I'm
not
saying
sure
that if you are 65, let's say, and you own a home right now, you're not incentivized to sell that home, and you're not incentivized to rent it because you pay taxes. Why is anybody going to sell their home? Let them sell their home, dude, tax free. Okay, let the 65-year-old go, hey, you know what, Mr. Sales Commission agent, like if it's 65 years old, dude, just like they go in the movies cheaper, you can't charge them 6%. Now, maybe that wouldn't work, but even the rental market, hey, they don't pay capital gains or interest income on rental income. There's just so many things we could do to be more clever. Instead of tagging somebody at 66 dying, they're starting their life. I mean, most people surrendered the first 50 years of their life to enjoy the year 60, and then they realize they don't have any money or they're unhealthy. That's another thing needs to change. People need to enjoy their life every day they're living. Okay, and that means you don't go do stuff that you hate doing. These are the things that are really important to me. And all the warmongering and the politics, life is going to go on, man. The day after all this is done, we still have to deal with money, education, confusion, the AI thing. And I'm just saying that none of the data that we have, the base understanding is incorrect. And we have human beings with limited intellect and apparently unlimited emotions that color the limited intellect. So I just look at it and go, oh, wow, 8 years, could we have a machine do all this? Like all you're doing is programming. Hey, we want a society that works efficiently. Here are the rules. Here's the laws. Here's what happens when you violate those rules and laws. And let's rock and roll. Oh, by the way, you can't have any favoritism. See, that's what I love about Bitcoin. It doesn't give a fuck if you own it or I own it. It's the same price. You can't do anything more or less with it unless you choose to. I think that's really cool.